Good morning, everybody. It's February 16th, Friday. I don't have to do a disclaimer because it's on there. We're going to talk about mental health care because we got a lot of craziness going on in this world right now. And yes, I did say crazy. It's not a bad word to say. When are we going to come back around to being able to have conversations without worrying what people are going to attack us because they don't like what we're saying? That leads into the word triggered. And why is everybody so triggered? Because we are not talking about mental health care. If you are triggered, it means you have things that are upsetting you or affecting you on some negative way. The word trigger is a negative word. It means that things are affecting you negatively. Why would you want to say trigger every day without understanding what that really means and why do you have a trigger? So that's part of mental health care. And we have become this community and this way of living with people where you cannot have a conversation or move through the world because you are triggered. This is not positive. This is actually negative. Good morning, Lauren. How you doing, my friend? And Freebird. That's nice. Good morning, Deanna. Nice to see you. I have to drink a little coffee here. Mm, I don't understand why. I just woke up. I don't understand why. You guys know I wake up and I get my coffee and I come straight to you. So you're actually really having coffee with me after Trampal wakes up in the morning. So it's like real Trampal morning talk. Oh, hi, Keaton. I missed you too, my friend. So hi, Zoe. Hi, Anika. Andrea. I love how you spell your name. Deanna. I said hi to you. So, why are we not talking about mental health care? And why do we have this idea that mental health care is a bad thing and that when you have mental health care, it means you're crazy? No, it actually means you're crazy if you don't have mental health care. Everyone should have mental health care. I don't think it's just specifically for somebody who's transitioning or for somebody like whatever. Everyone should have some form of mental health care. Good morning, Allison. Nice to see you. And Alexander, nice to see you. Get your coffee. Coffee is an important part of our conversation. As you know, I'm a coffeeaholic. So, mm, way to go, Rochelle. Get your coffee in your hands. Hope says, Good morning, Buck. I couldn't agree more. I just got out of a relationship that my partner used their triggers to control my behavior. I felt like I couldn't breathe without setting them off. Really, a great point, Hope, and thank you for bringing that up. Did you hear that? So Hope is like, yes, I started the conversation before many of you came on board. Buenos dias, señora. ¿Cómo está? Vicky says, Good morning, Buck. I've been missing the B Cup. Oh, well, we're glad to have you back, my friend. You know, it's been very sporadic because of my travel, which, that happens. So I want to get back here to Hope says, her relationship was a mess because the person was constantly saying trigger. Good morning, Leon. It's so dangerous. And I don't understand how we're handing this word over to a group of people. It seems to me more of a younger generation of trans people. And they just use the word trigger so loosely. Everything is a fucking trigger. If everything is a trigger in your life, you have some work to do on your mental health care. It is not a positive thing to walk around the world saying, I'm triggered. That's a very negative statement, and it's a very negative way to walk the world. It means that you're not walking free. It means that everything is in your way. It means that you are not actually functioning at your highest potential. Do you not understand that? It is not that I'm saying trigger is a bad thing. I'm saying that if you are saying trigger, you must look at why you are saying trigger and not just it's just coming out of people's mouths now like hello. It's like it's replacing hello. It's that common of a usage now. And that says to me something bad is happening in the community. It's not a good thing to hand over a word like trigger as if it was just a common word for us all to use. Freebird says, I go through a moment when I'm fine, and then I go through moments when I need to talk to someone again. Sometimes, and everyone does that, Freebird. That is a very normal human functioning behavior. But it is not normal to walk the world with a billion triggers attached to you and you cannot function. Because let me show you what triggers are. Good morning, Aaron. I love you too. And Charlie, good morning. These are triggers. They're blocking you. So every day you're walking, you're being blocked. So who wants to walk like this? I don't want to walk like this. This is the way I walk. And I run and I move through the world like this. That means I have no triggers blocking me. Not to say that I don't have a trigger or two. I do have a trigger or two. But when I know that trigger or two, I know how to avoid the trigger. Why are we not teaching people how to avoid triggers, work on their triggers, and release their triggers? Instead, we're teaching people to actually embrace your trigger so that you can continually say trigger, trigger, trigger. That makes no sense. Rachel says, I have PTSD. Triggers are a very specific thing to you. 100%. And that's what I'm talking about. We really need to get back to what the identity of a trigger is. And a trigger doesn't necessarily mean I can walk through the door and you misgendered me and that's a trigger. No, because if that's the case, my friend, you're going to be triggered for the rest of your fucking life. And that's not reality. There are big differences, I think. And we're teaching a trigger to be too little of a thing. Too little of a thing and too easy of a thing to use. Almost everyone I know has PTSD. That's a real thing. But let me ask you this, Rachel. Do you walk around every day and everything is a trigger? Do you? Do you trigger out on everything that is possibly in front of your face? Because that's the part that I'm talking about here. That means you're not living your life fully and you need to get some mental health care. Allison says, my therapist has allowed me to feel safe enough to start coming out as a tranny in his office. First, where I felt safe, and now I'm able to walk around dick and pussy with much less. Right on, Allison. Way to go. So, Rachel says no. Rachel, who has PTSD, says no. Thank you, Rachel. I'm very happy to hear that. That means Rachel is taking responsibility for Rachel's triggers, right? Good morning, Juan. Nice to see you. Charlie says, nobody cares if you're triggered or offended because it is either. I think some people think it makes a difference. You need to work on your mental health care and everything despite of transitioning and changing the outside. You've got to change and be right on the inside. Charlie says, ironically, Rob, good morning, my friend. Zoe says, thank you. Obviously, I can't say what are triggers for people, but I feel like people need to understand what is actual. Yes, I'm not saying I know what your triggers are either. I have no idea what your triggers are. And honestly, I can't speak to that. What I'm speaking to is this. Triggers are mental health care. Triggers are part of mental health care. Mental health care is a big thing that we do not talk about, not only in the LGBTQ community, but in the world. When we have mass shootings of 17-year-old kids every fucking day in this country, we have mental health problems. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing that happens when people get shot. I kind of am, I guess. But at the same level, you don't necessarily are not mentally healthy to carry a gun. But that said, it sure looks to me like we got a lot of mental health problems in this country when people are getting guns and shooting people. I would never do that with my gun. So why am I completely capable of holding a gun and having a gun and never feeling like going and shooting 17 fucking people? But why is that other person who has a gun going and feeling like shooting 17 fucking people? This is a mental health care problem that we're not talking about. It is not the guns, it's the people. Why are people keep saying it's the guns? Do guns walk and shoot themselves? Like, come on, people, grow up. Grow up. Caleb says, I'm in school for psychology and I'm excited to work with youth. I love you, Caleb, and thank you for taking that on. That's a really awesome thing that you're taking on. We need you so bad in this community. If more and more people would understand that we need mental health care professionals for the transgender community, we need doctors for the transgender community, we need medical doctors for the transgender community, we need lawyers for the transgender community. Go to school, kids. Learn these professions. You have an opportunity of a future of healthcare within a community, which means you can help a community grow. That is incredible. School is there for you. Any of you people out there, youngsters who want to go to school, it is there for you. You cannot make an excuse. You can get a loan. You can get grants. You can go to school for free if you want to. Go and do it. because you do have an opportunity to create a profession for you and your future. Stop thinking you don't because you're trans. Yes, you do. More than ever today, you have the opportunity to create a profession within the medical field because we need it. So it's there for you. Ashley says, everyone keeps saying gun control, but that's not going to change anything. Drugs are illegal and people can still get hands on those. So what do people think gun control is going to do? Absolutely nothing. Well, I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here, Ashley, and I understand what you're saying, but here's what I believe. Yes, I do believe necessarily if we take guns away, it's going to be a whole new game. No, but what I do believe is this. We need to start over. The gun system does not work here. It was built in the fucking 1800s. You can walk into any shop and get a gun with an identification. That's not okay. Number one. Number two, why are we selling assault rifles or rifles where they have magazines and nobody needs a gun like that. If you're hunting and you want a gun that shoots is normal hunting. 1-1. You don't need a gun that sprays a billion bullets. That's bullshit behavior. First off, whoever hunts like that is not a hunter because that's not hunting. That's cheating. First off, so you don't riddle bullets into the fucking animal. It's a sport. So that said that, they'll get rid of those guns. We need to redo the gun system. It doesn't work, just like our political system. The only way to do that is to recreate it from the ground up. I say we give all the guns back. Everyone gives their guns back, and we fucking rewrite the system. And then once we rewrite the system so it takes about a 3 or 4 tier system to get a gun, then we bring the guns back. It's that easy, I think. Rachel says, when I go for a longer time without being triggered, that's a target and to hit and be proud of. Right on, Rachel, because you work on yourself. Ellison says, I get very upset as a survivor with CPTSD. Yes, CPTSD. To have to say trigger warning before I speak about sexuality. I'm speaking to a group and I have disclosed the topic. I ask people to reach out for support if they need to. It is individual responsibility to practice self-care. Yes, thank you. I'm speaking from experience. I know, I agree with you. Freebird says, I know personally I could never own a gun because I struggle with suicidal thoughts. Yes, you should not own a gun. Freebird says, but too many mentally unstable own a gun. Alexander says, I had this same conversation yesterday on my page. Japan has the best way to deal with this. Yes, I visited Japan. It's amazing there. It's amazing. Allison says, this is not easy to do, but learning tools for self-care, even in the situations where they trigger you. Look, mental health care should be part of transitioning. I do not understand why we do not talk about this. Why is it a problem to talk about mental health care? I do think I know why we don't talk about it. I do think I know why we don't talk about it. There's a stigma around mental health. Like, if you have a therapist or if you go to a psychologist, then you're crazy. That's not true. Actually, if you don't go to mental health care and you don't speak to a doctor, then you are crazy because you're not taking care of the part that lets you function every day. This is just your vessel. Kids, this body is just your vessel to carry you through the world. This is the part that actually functions for you and creates the way you can look and feel and walk through the world. So why wouldn't you fix this in order to use this? It's a really basic statement. Good morning. Juan says, I find that a lot of trans forms that a lot of people always say they are triggered by this and that. Always. Effectively censoring the voices of other people in the community. Why can't our community be more open-minded and keep in mind that we are all they can't because they're sick. That's why. And what I mean by sick is they're mentally off. And our community needs to have mental health care. That is a great point to show you right now. We need mental health care. There's way too many triggers in our community. More than any other community out there. I have never seen the word trigger thrown around like shit on the wall. Are you fucking kidding me? Why is nobody talking about the fact that we have all these people in forums saying, I'm triggered, shut up. Because it's a way to actually also, I don't believe all those people have triggers. I believe they use it in a way to shut down the conversation so that you can't talk to them about your vagina because they're triggered by your vagina. If you're triggered by my vagina, wouldn't that make you want to go get help? The fact that the word vagina triggers you, you're going to be triggered for the rest of your fucking life because they actually use the word vagina in the world. So again, people. It is exhausting, Zoe, and I'm so exhausted of talking about it. But it's like if we don't continue to talk about it, and I'm the bad guy for talking about it. You know what I'm talking about? I'm the bad guy for bringing it up. I'm the guy who is disrespectful to the transgender community. I'm the guy who's transphobic. Go figure how I'm transphobic. That's so incredibly ridiculous. That said, nobody wants to talk about it. So I have to talk about it because I don't give a fuck what people think about me. I care about this fucking community, and it's my job. I feel not obligated, but I feel a passion. I feel a passion to help with this community in the mental health care field and also in the healthcare world. I have a passion to do that. Whether you like it or not, I guarantee you, us talking about it will make a change for the positive future of this community. But if we just put our heads in the sand and act like mental health care isn't a part, how are we going to grow forward? And if you even think saying trigger is positive, you are wrong. It is not positive. It is digging you deeper into a hole of depression. It is digging you deeper into a hole of victimization. It is digging you deeper into a hole of not moving forward in your life. And that's the truth. Why are you using the word trigger? Where did you learn that word? And what makes you think that you can just walk around the world telling people you're triggering me? I want to know how this happened. Allison says, this is not easy to do, but learning tools for self-care, even in situations where there are triggers for you. People need to take it's your responsibility. 100%, Allison, I agree with you. Your mental health is it's your responsibility. It's your self-care. You take a bath every day, don't you? You take a shower every day. You go poop every day. It's the same thing. Why aren't you taking care of this? All those natural things you do, drink your coffee, have your water, eat your breakfast, all of those things are part of your health care, right? So why are you not doing the same with your head? When did mental health care become such a stigma that you're a sick person? Actually, you're a sick person if you're walking around the world worrying about everything that's in front of you. It means you are not okay. It means that you are not functioning at your highest ability. It means that you are hiding behind a word which creates a block for you to have a conversation. Number 5, why do you have the trigger? Where's the trigger coming from? Don't you want to learn the root? Look, what if what if God forbid all of a sudden you got a diagnosis of cancer? Okay, are you just going to be walking the world going, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer? No, you're not. You're going to go to the doctor. You're going to ask the doctor, what cancer do I have? What kind of cancer do I have? And how can I fix the cancer? Triggers are the same thing. So now you're just going to have a trigger and you're going to walk the world going trigger, trigger, trigger without trying to find out why do you have a trigger? You would do the same if you had cancer. To me, I do equate the same things because cancer is gonna fucking take you out if you don't fix it. Triggers are gonna fucking take you out if you don't fix it. It's the same thing. Xander says, I've been in trans counseling off and on for 6 years. When I had an issue and spent some time in jail, the judge ordered that I continue going and into turning my therapy into a negative. What do you mean? My counseling had nothing to do with why I was arrested. So no, Xander, I want to know. So what happened when you went to counseling? You're saying it's negative and it wasn't positive? All of my therapist work that I do has been extremely positive. I have to tell you that you as a client to a therapist have every opportunity to either stay with that therapist or find a new one. You get to find your own head mechanic. That's what I call mental health care professionals, a head mechanic. You can find your own. You don't like it, go to another one. It's that easy. Zoan says, if other people are triggering you, then you are the gun. I don't mean this to sound harsh. It doesn't. But if you can't function in society because you keep firing your trigger, then you need to take care of yourself and work on. Yes, people aren't understanding that part of the trigger. They think because you trigger me, it's your fault. That's what they think. They don't understand that it's actually their own. People don't know how to people don't understand what a trigger is. They don't. They just think it's an opportunity for them to stop conversation. They think it's an opportunity for them to block everything that's happening. And they think it's all you because you're the trigger. They don't understand. Actually, it's you. It's you that are being triggered, not me. Because I trigger you has nothing to do with me. Zero. Zero, zero. It has everything to do with you and your own mental health care. And why are you not even the thing is, like, it's so bizarre. Nobody's accepting why they're having triggers. They just are going, I have a trigger without any conversation. That is just bizarre behavior. Teaching children to act out is basically what you're doing. So we're giving children a gigantic, beautiful sandbox to learn themselves in and to create beautiful, aspiring, gorgeous young trans people, yet they're not playing nicely in the sandbox, and they're throwing sand at each other, and they're digging holes, and they're not fucking putting their head in the sand. They're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing, and that's why they're having triggers, because they're each telling each other, you got a trigger, I got a trigger, we got triggers, block, block, block. That's what's happening, and why everybody's so angry in those Facebook groups and those groups that they have, and these closed trans man groups where they just be negative to each other. It's just toxic. That's toxic behavior. I love to say that. It is toxic behavior to run around calling other people names and pointing fingers and saying they're triggers. That's toxic behavior. Rochelle says there are good and bad practitioners in all aspects of healthcare. That's why there's a marketplace. You have the eggs, like with anything. Like with anything, you don't have to sit here and listen to me babble all morning long about bullshit. Or you can go somewhere else. It's the same thing. I just on here to create conversation. But if I'm not the conversation for you, you have a million other places you can go and have conversation. It's a real thing. Alexander says I love going and getting a lot out of it. The issue is that now I don't go. I get in trouble with the courts and I continue to have to check in with the courts. Well, you need to stop getting in trouble with the courts, Alexander. That's not cool. Okay, so yes, there are good and bad practitioners. There are good and bad everything. Make the opportunity to get mental health care. If we talk about it more and we discuss it more, it will move forward more. And actually, people will start to have an understanding how important their mental health care. It is a generation of transgender people who have basically taken the word transgender and molded it into something completely different than from where I came from, which is totally okay. Which is totally okay. That's not my community. I'm a transsexual, completely different. That said, they have co opted, as far as I'm concerned, the word transgender, made it into all these other facets, again, whatever, and now changed the rules on us, and that's not transgender, and everyone has become a fucking victim. So really, when I look at the transgender community now, I don't see the trans community I came from, where we were all butt-ass motherfucking strong. We had fucking survivor energy. We were like, fuck you, we're trannies, get out of our fucking way. We didn't take shit from anybody. We didn't trigger out on you and stop the conversation. We just told you to fuck off and get out of our way, and we kept moving. Now what I see is a bunch of babies who can't even they can't look at you in your eyes because they have no self-confidence. They have full-on self-hate, self-fucking victimization, just self-destruction on every level that they cannot move forward in this world. That's our fault as a large community that has let a group of these transgender people become what? The gatekeepers of this community in order to what? Have their own agenda become the transgender community. They have actually co-opted what it means to be transgender now. And they have created a victimizing attitude, a victimizing energy, and self-loathing and self-hatred. That is not a transgender community. That said, why are we not fixing it? And why are we continually letting these children destroy not only themselves, but to destroy the community, where it is now divided into 5 million little pieces, and good luck putting it back together again? I saw it coming from a long time ago, and why I immediately removed myself from that community and gave myself back the transsexual community. And the transsexual community is a big community because I have more and more people coming to me saying they're transsexual and not transgender. That said, the transsexual community is no way acting like the transgender community. We actually are focused, moving forward, know who we are completely balanced and moving forward. So why is that? Why is that? Why are these two different trans communities sort of on wanting the same thing but on way different levels? Why is that? Why is that? So it is why is that? Alexander says absolutely. Yes, agreed. I wish I could be that strong. Everyone can be that strong. You want to know how to be that strong? Mental health care. Listen to me. There are many places you can get mental health care for free at the LGBT Center. Go on the fucking internet. Look for a therapist who's willing to work with you on Skype. You can do all of those things. It's there for you if you want it. Stop acting like it's not there. It is there. You have to want it. Do you want to have a fat burger? I'm sure you're going to find where there's a fat burger before you're going to find where there's a mental health care professional. Why is that? Why is eating a fat burger more important than getting your fucking head done? Make your priorities and make your priorities important to you for growth. Seriously. Okay, kids, I love you a lot. I'm going to go now. I got a lot to do. I got a meetings with a gynecologist this morning, and we're going to discuss what? We're going to discuss the lube, and we're going to discuss getting this lube into a lot of different gynecological offices. So this is important. If you're having some issues with dryness and not understanding your vagina, talk to me. But this is why I just made this for us and the guys who are using testosterone and dealing with dryness in their vaginas. This is a very important product that I'm putting out. Of course, you can use any lube you want to, but honestly, this one is specifically made for our vaginas, and it's all natural, gluten-free, vegan, organic, everything. It's beautiful, beautiful product for your vagina because I love your vagina. So, I gotta go, YouTube. You know I love you kids very much. Thank you for joining me again and have a beautiful, awesome day. And it's Friday, so create the weekend that you want to have. Okay, I love you and I'll see you on